the game, cause see the boxing voice.
Welcome back, gang, for the first time and hopefully many more to come. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the notifications right here, this little bell, so you can get those emails every time we go live. Peace.
This event brought to you by Juco Events in conjunction with Top Rank. And what has happened is that Jeff Horn has retained his WBO welterweight title. Yet another truly memorable event here against England's Gary Corcoran, who has made a very tough stuff. I'll just ask a couple of questions of a couple of those at the front here, and then we'll throw it open for questions. But first, we must go to the champion of the world, Jeff Horn. Congratulations, Jeff. That was tough.
It was, but we love bringing those tough fights to Brisbane, and we did it again. It's a success.
Is that going to be your style now? You just go to war every time?
Oh, look, I'd like to have an easy fight once in a while, but it doesn't seem like that's ever going to happen again.
It was a good night out there. The atmosphere was incredible. There was a huge crowd here, and this time around, you were the champion, you were the star. Yeah,
it was a bit different this time. I wasn't the underdog for a change, and I was coming in the champion, and it was a good feeling, but I still trained very hard for that fight and made sure I had the fitness to go all the way.
Any concerns at any point during those early rounds when Gary Corcoran was coming on so strongly and you looked to be struggling a little bit with your range, trying to find him as a target? Did you think for a moment, well, this is going to be harder than I thought?
Yeah, look, the timing was off at the start of the fight. I couldn't really get that range very well, but as soon as I started working off that jab and going first, I managed to break him down quite easily after that.
The trainer, of course, of Jeff Horn is Glenn Rush. And Glenn, what do you make of that performance? It was a brilliant first round. He then tried to get into his rhythm, and the end was pretty impressive from Jeff.
Yeah, it was, and pretty much that fight went about exactly how I thought it would go. I did say earlier I thought we'd get him in round 9, but I said we could be a little either side of that. Okay, so I did say to Jeff, it's time to put the pressure on. You've broken him down. He's going backwards now. He's just trying to survive. And it did go according to plan. I mean, the plan that I prepared, it did work out exactly. It was to keep moving, control the gap that he couldn't be effective from. So from that gap, he had no chance really of hitting Jeff. And I said, Jeff, you must go first. You can't let him bridge the gap. You've got to go first all the time. Control the gap. Keep moving. I knew Gary would try to do what he did, and that is bully Jeff, push him onto the ropes, work his body. He thought Jeff looked a bit soft in the body because, you know, he'd been down on that trip to Melbourne and Sydney with us, and he thought Jeff looked a little bit softer in the belly, and I worked the body. But I can tell you, Jeff's stomach is incredibly strong, and anyone who was out recently watching me pound him to the stomach, they would have seen how tough he is. So there's no way that body assault is going to work, and there's no way we're going to let Gary bridge that gap. So it went perfectly according to plan. We knew it'd be tough, but as we said, that's entertainment, that's boxing, that's what it's all about. It's not table tennis, it's not knitting. This is a serious sport. If you're not tough, get out. Okay? So I think we showed tonight why it's such an exciting sport.
I'm going to ask a question to Bob Aaron very shortly. He was pretty emphatic as to what is next, but what do you think Jeff should be doing next in his professional boxing career?
Well, as I said to Dean, I said, first thing, let's get this fight out of the way. I said, you know, you can't get too far ahead of yourself. You've got to stay focused on the job at hand. Of course, as a manager and his trainer, yes, I'm always looking, and yes, I've looked at Crawford. Crawford is beatable, okay? Crawford has weaknesses that we can exploit. You know, you may be slapping around the lightweights and the super lightweights, but the welterweights are bigger boys, they're tougher, okay? May only be 7 pounds, but it is a lot in boxing terms, and a lot of real tough guys congregate in this welterweight division. It has been the blue ribbon division for a very long time, and you know, it's going to be different for Crawford coming up into this division. I think Jeff has the skills, the toughness, and again, we must execute a plan with military precision if we're going to beat him. Please understand, we also had some disruptions. 2 weeks ago, we had 8 stitches in Jeff's eye here that opened up again tonight, so he's missed 2 weeks of sparring. But, you know, we didn't sook about it, like some of the opposition did a little bit this week. We just got on with the job. You know, we adapted, there's things we had to do and compensate, but just that missing a couple of weeks, the timing was just slightly off for a little bit, but we quickly honed in and he found his rhythm, and the rest is history, and after then it was just a matter of time.
Usually I guess I would have led to the Premier, but when you're sitting alongside a world champion, we had to leave you just a bit down to this time, sorry, but after retaining your own title, it must be great to see Jeff do exactly that here tonight.
Jeff was in my corner and I was in his corner tonight, and I couldn't be more proud. So on behalf of 4.8 million Queenslanders, congratulations to Jeff on a job well done, and we wish you all the very best for your success in the future, and also the very best to Joe, and I know you'll be expecting your new baby soon. So well done. I know he's got an incredibly proud family. He's a very strong family man, and he's just an absolutely lovely, decent, honourable man. So Jeff, I'm proud to be here with you tonight.
Well, first I want to thank everybody here. This was a great promotion. Dean did a fantastic job, and I must really say again that none of this would have been possible, not the Pacquiao fight, not this fight, without the support of these wonderful officials in Queensland, Brisbane City Council, Kate, and has always been a big proponent of this. The Premier, just by her presence here now, shows how much she backs this endeavor. We move on now. Terence Crawford is the mandatory contender. We will be announcing, I'm sure, the fight for Las Vegas in the biggest arena in Las Vegas, probably in April. What Glenn said, and remember what he said, he's not just talking. Terence Crawford is one of the best fighters around. He was a lightweight champion, that's at 135 pounds. A couple of years ago, he was fighting as a lightweight. Then he became a junior welterweight, which is 140 pounds, and wiped out that division. It's a big jump to go from a guy who started as a lightweight, now to a 147. That's 12 pounds, 7 pounds above junior lightweight. So anybody that says that because of Terence's skill set, that Jeff doesn't have a chance is crazy. This is going to be a very, very competitive fight. I, as an observer, would say that as far as skill are concerned, boxing skills and so forth, I would favor Crawford. But as far as strength and size are concerned, you have to go with Jeff. So it's going to be a great, great fight. It may end up to be a ring classic. Maybe it's one of 3 fights that we do in this category. But now that Jeff is going to go to the United States, to Las Vegas, he will hopefully be dividing his efforts between Australia, Brisbane, Queensland, and the United States, which is a big boxing country. But his future is very bright. He has a tremendous trainer. I mean, I didn't know anything about this man on my right. I thought he was a business guy, just, you know, taking a fling, training a fighter, you know, and like a sort of a joke. I really believe that. I didn't know. But believe me, he's a hell of a trainer. He does a really magnificent job. Too bad he's such a good businessman, otherwise I'd hire him and bring him over to the United States to train some of our fighters. But it's going to be a great, great, great event in Las Vegas. We'll announce the date soon, and hopefully as many Aussies as possible can come over. Got a little plug for, Brisbane, Queensland is great. Nothing really can compete with it. But in Las Vegas, we have the best restaurants in the world. Chefs from all over have opened restaurants. We have more top-class hotel rooms in any city in the world at relatively reasonable prices. You know, maybe we'll get real lucky by April.
Watch out, Bob, there's 2 on 1.
Maybe we'll get a new president in the country and we'll
Aaron, but Kate Jones, we have to give you a right of reply. You've been on the Jeff Horn journey for quite some time. We've heard a lot about Las Vegas. Brisbane sounds like a good place for Crawford v Horn.
Oh yeah, very much so. Look, I think what we've definitely heard, and we heard it from Jeff Horn tonight, is that we certainly want to see, as the Premier has said, more matches for Jeff Horn here in Brisbane. This is his hometown. We've supported him from day one, and we certainly think that given the bright future that Jeff Horn is going to have, that I'm sure there's plenty of room to have another world champion fight here back in Brisbane in the future.
And just finally, too, Dean.
And we've got lovely hotel rooms as well, Bob.
You must be a very proud promoter tonight.
More relieved. By the time we got to round 4 or 5, I'm thinking, shit, what have I done? But, it was wonderful to see the true grit of Jeff come through. I thought it was a hell of a tough fight, and for them to be throwing the towel, and there's no doubt he held it with Corcoran's body. He came, he was ripped, he was prepared. They were very, very confident they were going to do a big job on us as a team, and particularly Jeff in the ring. But I thought once we got past round 7 or 8 and Jeff started to lead, that's when you started to see the true determination. And deep down, I just know he doesn't want to lose. He'll do anything he can to win, he showed it. So it's a wonderful attribute to have, and make bigger and better things away. And we had to get past this one tonight before we can go forward to the world of boxing and what it can bring. So who knows what the future holds? We still haven't cut a deal yet, Bob. My boy doesn't come cheap.
Yeah, but our dollar is stronger than
Okay, we'll take some questions now to any of those up the front here, if you'd like to start us off.
I've just one quick question. With our politicians here and Bob, you understand, we've got an airline monopoly over here, and every great sporting event we have in Queensland, our airlines seem to pump up the rates and make it inaccessible to everyday punters like all around here. So Anna, Kevin, and whoever else is on board here, Bob, you've got your call as well. What are we going to do to get all of us there to back our men?
Take that as a comment. Do we have any more?
Jeff, congratulations, mate. How did you feel when you saw the towel coming?
I was extremely happy, extremely relieved when you know it's all over. I was ready for a hard last round, but I was also very happy to see them throw it in because I was starting to land a lot of shots on him.
He took it very well.
Yeah, he did. Look, he's a tough guy, but I knew he wasn't too bad of a guy being around him for a little while, but I knew he was going to come to fight, and he's a tough look. He was so hard in there. Like I knew in his eyes, you can kind of look in a guy's eyes and you can see what they're after, and I could see he wanted that win badly.
Did he take you anywhere Manny Pacquiao didn't take you?
No, I don't think so. I think they were both tough fights. A bit different in the way I handled them, but in this one I felt like it took me a little bit to get going in this fight, but in the last fight I was pretty much straight off the mark.
And you seem very confident that Terence Crawford is within your reach.
Oh, definitely. He's someone definitely I can beat in the boxing world. I'm sure of that. I'm very confident. That's the first step in this game, is to be confident in what you can do.
If I read the cards right, one judge gave Corcoran no rounds, one gave him the second round, and one gave him the 6th round. Do you think that it looked, I think, to a lot of people closer than that?
I have no idea.
No.
I didn't think that, by the way. I only thought he won one round myself.
Which one did you get? 2 rounds.
Yeah. Well, like you said, 2 or 6. It was this, if you want to be generous, you may have given him 2 rounds, but certainly no more than that. So no, Jeff was clearly outboxing him. There was a couple of close rounds, as you say. So when they're close, if they go against you, you can never complain. But for the bulk of the fight, yeah, Jeff was outboxing him.
Yeah, confirming at the time of the towel coming in, it was 100 to 90, 99 to 91, and 99 to 91. So that
That's a very convincing victory. And I did say to Jeff, by the way, that Jeff, he doesn't want to be here. I said he's backpedaling now, he's not coming forward. You just need to start lengthening your combos now. And I said, and you can finish this. I said, you can wrap this up. Let's, finish this. So I was pleased that he did. And I knew all we had to do was go up again. We just had to start pouring on the pressure. We'd broken him down relentlessly. That was always the plan. It was just a matter of now of just stepping it up a little bit. The result was exactly as we thought.
And Jeff, one more from me. Relief we hear from the promoter. What about the fact that Joe is still carrying that baby?
Where is she? Where is she now? Have you seen this room?
Yeah.
She's not in hospital. Yeah, no, it was very comforting. It was very comforting seeing that Joe was still alright, but she was telling me, no, look, I feel like I'm going to be fine. I'd kind of know what she thought if she was getting close. She's like, I think I've still got a few weeks left. Thank you.
Well, obviously Terence Crawford's going to be take main billing in his home country. Do you think American fight fans will pay money to come and see Jeff fight over there? Do you think he's got enough profile now to be of interest?
Well, we start out with an arena that has 20,000 seating capacity. So I expect 4,000 or 5,000 Aussies, right? There'll be Terence is from Omaha, and he'll bring about 4,000 people from Omaha. He sells out the arena in Omaha every time he fights, and they travel. And you know, Warren Buffett, the great investor, is his biggest fan. And then, you know, fight fans will come from all over. So I expect the event to sell out. And then if we decide to do it on pay-per-view, I think we'll have a, you know, if we get a good card and this, we'll have pretty good success in pay-per-view in the United States. Carl Moretti, who's here with me, got a report. You remember, you know, ESPN, which is the big sports network in the United States, and did the Horn-Pacquiao fight to the biggest audience for a boxing match of the year. Also did this fight. And because of the difference in time, the fight was shown on ESPN live at 6:30 in the morning in the east of the United States, New York and so forth, and that's 3:30 on the other coast in Los Angeles. And we expect a fairly good audience watching that fight. People didn't know who Jeff was before the Pacquiao fight. They knew who he was because we had over 5 million people watching it after that fight. And then we had Jeff over to the ESPN ESPY Awards, which is a big event. All the sports people come, and he walked the red carpet, and people got to know him, and all the press were able to interview him. So he is now a well-known fighter in the United States. And Terence, of course, is probably even more so. So yeah, I expect a big crowd, a big turnout. I think it's going to be a very, very successful promotion. And I look for it to be a hell of a fight. And the announcers for ESPN tonight, commenting on this fight, right, Carl? They said that fight, he and Terence, is going to be a classic, a real tremendous fight. And that's great what they're saying. Now about ESPN, you're gonna, I know they have channels here, but ESPN tomorrow, I think, will announce that they have bought all of Fox's assets around the world except for the United States. So now the ESPN will be very, Disney really is the one that's buying, which is the parent company of ESPN. So there'll be a lot more boxing here. There'll be a lot more Aussies going to the States to fight, Americans and others coming to Australia to fight. It's going to be really great. And with the support we have from the officials in Queensland and Brisbane, we really expect to be a very, very exciting type of thing in the future. For example, there was a kid on the card tonight named Murdoch, who I'd heard about, he was, Dean told me about, a middleweight, super middleweight, 168 pounds. So we've arranged to bring him to the States. He's going to fight February 3rd in Corpus Christi on ESPN, where Gilberto Ramirez defends his title. And then probably in May in Mazatlan, which is a beautiful resort in Mexico where Gilberto comes from, fight on that card. And then if all goes well, Dean is going to put on a card in the Gold Coast with Murdoch challenging Ramirez. So that's just an example of what we're going to be able to do here. And if Jeff comes through and beats Terrence, or even if he doesn't, he's going to be the poster boy for Australian boxing, and he'll be doing a lot of fights against top fighters from around the world, both in the United States and here in Australia.
Jeff, how do you feel about going to America and fighting and catching up with your mates Teddy Atlas and seeing
yeah, there is a lot to prove to a lot of the Americans out there. There's still probably, there's always going to be the doubters, and there's a lot of people that you're not going to be able to change their mind, but all I've got to do is just keep winning. That's the key. Key in everything is just to keep doing one step after the other, keep doing the training, keep doing the work, and you should keep getting the result after that, and hopefully you can start changing people's minds one by one.
Do you think going to America will keep you motivated in the sport and keep you hungry?
Oh, look, it's definitely exciting. Something from the start is where I pictured myself fighting for a world title when starting the professional boxing world, and I'm very, very, very happy to have defended my title, be able to fight for my world title here in my hometown and be able to defend it here as well. But I knew always I'm going to be going over to America and defending it at some point.
Does it mean a little bit more, do you think, eventually over there?
Oh, no, look, I think it means a lot. Well, probably more fighting here in my hometown, but it means just the same to keep that world title on my belt to win over there as well.
So Jeff, I know there's so we'll talk about Crawford right now. It's been well documented how hard it is for you to get down to 147. How many fights do you feel you have left at 147?
Yeah, look, it is always difficult, but this fight I felt like it was a struggle, but then towards the end I felt like it dropped off fairly comfortably and felt like I went alright. I don't know, in that fight then it took a little bit to get going because of the weight drop, but I guess time will tell. If one day I wake up and it's too hard to make that weight, that's when I'll kind of decide for the next one, maybe I'll go up a weight.
So it's not something that's being discussed at the moment?
No, not at all at the moment.
Not just he's still doing it quite comfortably at the moment, so he's making worldwide. And I still think we've got things to prove here in this division. And we never want to be seen that we're dodging people, that we're, a lot of fighters, they're always dodging people. And you don't leave the legacy that we want Jeff to leave and to say, when you think about it, to win, some people win a world title, they don't even fight a world champion to win it. That, one fights two, it's vacant or something like that. But to win the world title by firstly beating an 11 times world champion, that's doing it pretty tough. And then when your first mandatory defence happens to be the highest ranked pound for pound fighter in the world, it's not getting any easier. So, I don't think many people would expect to have fights of that calibre this early, but so be it.
Okay, maybe just...
I have a question, see if you can answer. Because what he said about fighting for a vacant title. Which heavyweight champion never won a heavyweight championship fight? Which heavyweight champion, recognized heavyweight champion, never won a heavyweight championship fight? You know? Ken Norton.
Ken Norton.
When they stripped Ali, they made Norton the champion, and then he fought Larry Holmes, who beat him in the first fight. Only heavyweight champion never to win a heavyweight championship.
He broke Ali's jaw, didn't he?
No, that was the fight before. They did 3 fights. I did all those 3 fights. When Ali's jaw got broken, the scene in that dressing room is something I'll never forget.
Any further questions from out there?
That's the one for the Premier. You're wearing the red jacket tonight, Premier. We know
It's orange. It's orange.
Oh, it's orange. I can't tell colour. I apologise. But Bob Hawke, he had the Australian jacket on when we won the America's Cup. I just thought you'd tell us, what should Queensland bosses tomorrow be thinking when their employees turn up maybe hungover or perhaps a little bit late because of Jeff's win?
Well, I think in honour of our world champion, they should allow some indulgences to turn up late. Otherwise, I'll write them a personal note.
There you go.
Okay, maybe one.
Dean, what can't the Crawford fight been here?
The Crawford fight would be the time here. Is that the question?
Why can't it be?
The question is, why could the fight not take place in Brisbane?
Well, I think really and truly, the government of Queensland has done a fantastic service to boxing, to all of us, by helping finance the 2 fights, the first one and the second. But there are needs that people have that go beyond sports. And so they have to employ funds in other ways. You can't keep going to the public till and getting money to do fights. In Las Vegas, we have what we call casinos. And they buy tickets to attract customers to go. Maybe one day there'll be plenty of casinos in Queensland. I know them are looking at it, and they will then be able to finance fights. But it's not right for the government to finance one fight after another. I mean, they really have other purposes, and I think it would be wrong for us to even attempt to do that. Right?
Right. What I would say is that if the economic return stacks up for the state and this wonderful city of Brisbane, I would suggest that they'll probably keep supporting us. But as Bob said, there are other opportunities. You know, I think for Jeff Horn in particular, you know, if we want to crack the big time and go to the biggest market in the world, the richest market in the world, and really test yourself. You know, we've had our big test down here twice. I've got to say, I thought Gary Corcoran tonight was outstanding. Why wouldn't we go and try at the big stage? So, and when the time is right, we will make presentations to both the Brisbane City Council and the Queensland State Government. And when it stacks up financially to give the economic return and the marketing benefits they're looking for, I'm sure that they'll say yes and welcome us with open arms when it's right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But you know, you just can't do it one fight after another. You just can't.
Maybe one final question for Jeff, if we have one.
Well, what stage did you find, Jeff, that you were breaking him down? How far before the end did you see it? Did you see it in his eyes?
Yeah, I could tell he was starting to hurt, and I could see the cuts on his eyes. I don't even know what I look like. Yeah, I haven't seen the mirror, but I could tell he was hurting very hard in those last rounds, especially that round 9 and 10. I could see he was starting to really go down, and I had to get a couple of good combinations out on him, and I got him with one good body shot there where I hit him up high, then down low, and I could see in his eyes that hurt him, and I knew I had to keep attacking.
I was saying to him too, Grantley, that you know he's just hanging on now, and we can finish this. We just have to raise the bar here, and I think Jeff started to feel that as well, and we just knew that we could finish this. So we just had to go on the gear, and he did. So yeah, awesome result.
Okay, we might let Jeff go and get some stitches, even though he doesn't know he needs them. Thank you so much for joining us again, ladies and gentlemen.
For about half a dozen questions, and I got to get going because
obviously a very impressive performance. We saw Gary Corcoran not the result he wanted, but Gary, you've come off with a few stitches there. How many?
10, I think.
10. What do you make of the fight that you had tonight? Was it tougher than you thought?
Yeah, it was a tough fight. Better man won on the night, and I'll be back. I'll be back getting stronger than ever. So learn from it. That's all I can do.
In those early to mid rounds, did you think maybe you had the world champion right where you wanted him?
Yeah, one way. I started off a bit worse than 2 tenths, but I'll learn from it, and I'll come back and be better.
Frank, you must be pretty proud of what he did early on.
Oh, listen, I'm absolutely over the moon with the effort that Gary put in. I mean, we always knew that he was never ever going to be lacking for heart and determination. Listen, you know, hard to analyse the fight now because it's you know, still a little bit raw. We started the first couple of rounds, we were very tense. I think we got into it, and after 3 or 4 rounds, Jeff certainly knew that he was in a fight. But I think the amount of nervous energy that we burnt off in those first 2 or 3 rounds affected us physically, and we was then chasing it. Gary was looking for a few too many single shots, and you can't really do that against Jeff. I mean, we had a little period where we had a lot of success. I think we was landing a lot from outside. We was landing some single jabs, some single straight rights, a couple of nice left hooks got in, but then Gary decided to try and take it short and just didn't have the energy to get the shots off because of that tense start, I believe. But look, fair play to Jeff. You know, he obviously cuts a lot of weight because he was a big boy in there tonight. Hopefully, it doesn't come back to haunt him later on. He seems like a real lovely guy. You know, we've been up to the dressing room. The boys had a hug. They respect each other fully. We respected them before the fight started. We certainly respect them now. You know what? He's a good fighter. Make no bones about it. He is a good fighter, and he's going to be a handful for anyone that gets in there with him.
You were the man who stood up and put the towel in the ring to finish proceedings. No one questions that decision, but what was the decision as you saw it?
Effectively, like I said, look, Gary's got the heart of a lion, and he will carry on and go out on his shield. He'd rather go out on his back. But me as the trainer, I've got a duty of care to my fighter. I know that my fighter will carry on going until he physically can't go any further. But there was a couple of periods where Gary swung big and missed, and the legs had just started to look a little bit weak. There was a couple of stumbles. And once you get into a stage where you're needing a knockout, and you haven't got the physical strength to muster that knockout, then it's my duty. Look, maybe if he wasn't as cut as bad as he was, maybe I'll let him stay in there. But he's cut, he's busted up, and he's a bit tired. So, but it's 27. We've taken a seat at the top table. There's not a fighter in the world that isn't going to learn from being in that situation. And we can come back again. We're going to go back home, recoup, you know, heal. We've still got unfinished business at home. I genuinely think that domestically speaking, there's not a fighter in the country that lives with Gary. We go away, we work on the things that we need to work on, we come back better, and hopefully, because of the effort that we've shown and the fact that we can take a world-class fighter into deep water, hopefully we get another seat at the top table.
Gary, there'd be interest domestically, at least in a Liam Williams rematch?
No, at this moment of time. Liam Williams is up at light middleweight. I'm going to stick at welterweight, then get on with his business. And I just hopefully I want the British when I get back, take the British, whoever has the British, I want the British when I get back, and I'll start from there. But anyone in England, Britain, I don't think they will fight me, but I want that British, and once I get the British, win that out, and then we'll go from there again.
Couple of questions here.
Gary, you looked really relaxed all week. Even before the fight, you came and wasn't around the ring, looked really relaxed. When did you start to feel that sort of tension and nerves? Was it just when you got in the ring, or was it just before you went out? Can you just tell us why you felt so tense?
Something like this, it's nervous energy come out of you. You want to just, I just didn't let my shots go as much. I was getting very tense, but listen, it happens. You're at that stage, you're fighting for a world title. And better man won all night. That's it. And all you can do is learn from that. And I was at the fought a good fighter, and that's why he was a good fighter, so I'll be back.
Frank, you raised plenty of concerns about Jeff's use of his head. I mean, Gary's pretty cut up. Were they from punches or head fights?
Listen, there was head clashes, but I mean, you know, I don't think there was anything sort of really deliberate. I'm not going away from the fight complaining about headbutts. Look, to be honest, Gary's as you all saw, Gary's pretty rough on the inside himself. I think it was a good physical battle on the inside. Listen, my job as a trainer and Gary's representative is to draw attention to the fact that Jeff does lead with his head, which he does. The referee before the fight, I didn't have to ask the referee mentioned it to me, so that's my job done. I planted a seed and the referee was on it straight away. You know, I don't think there was anything overly naughty. So our job was done. That was the whole reason for the whole, you know, glove on the head and whatever else. But yeah, look, it's not a tickling contest. Jeff is very physical in his style, as is Gary. I'm not sure how many stitches that Jeff's had, but I think he picked up 3 cuts as well. We actually picked up a cut a couple of weeks ago in sparring, which is what the major one was that opened up on Gary's eye. It wasn't too bad. Obviously, no one saw it, but it was what it was. Jeff's cut that he picked up opened up again. There was plenty of times the heads rubbed in, but there wasn't anything deliberate from either fighter, so I've got no complaints.
Maybe one final question.
Gary, you had some good right hands there, especially early in the fight. Was it at any stage did you think that you had Jeff?
Yeah, just a few times I caught him on right hand, but there was too many single shots for me, too many single. I was confused learning. Frank was telling me, but I was too tense. I was trying to take him out with one shot a few times. I knew when we were getting close to him, I could push him around. But he's got a good experience about him, and I think he's a good, very good fighter. And all I could do is learn from him. But yeah, he chipped away, and we clashed a lot of time with the heads, but I clashed him as well with the head, and he split, I split. The type of fighters we are, we come in with, and a few times we hit each other with the head.
Yeah, no, you put up a great effort.
Thank you. It was a fight. I was getting more tired. I wasn't getting really. There was no punches there. Where was it like gonna knock me out? But I'm a very tough kid. But they don't want me to see me take more shots. I would have went to the 12th round, finished it. But Frank said, "Do you want me get home safe to my kid and be good for the next fight again? Get on and win the British title, and that's it."
Can Jeff beat Terence Crawford, do you think?
Yeah, he can beat Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford will run more though. Yeah. Terence Crawford will run. But yeah, Jeff's a good fighter. I spar some good fighters. And Jeff's a very good fighter. He is a very good fighter, and there's a good chance I spar Brooke and all the fighters, and Brooke's a good fighter. And I spar David Asian and Jeff. Brooke is another good fighter, and Jeff would make a good fight.
Jeff's on that level.
He's on that level. Oh, he's definitely on that level. Yeah. He's definitely, till I've seen him there, he's definitely on that level.
Frank, looking at the scorecards after the fight, I know it was TKO to Jeff, but you're surprised that one of the judges didn't give Gary any rounds? And
to be honest, I don't even know what the scorecards was.
2 judges gave you 1 round and 1 judge didn't give you any.
You know what, I'm not going to say that I'm disappointed or surprised. It is what it is. The fact of the matter was, as far as I'm concerned as a boxing man, Jeff had to work for every success. Gary, regardless of how wide the scorecards were, when Jeff wakes up in the morning, he's going to be sore from top to toe. And we know that we was competitive on that level, regardless of the result. There's certainly lots of positives that we as a team can take away from our performance. Lots of negatives as well. There's a lot of stuff to work on. I mean, I said in the build-up at some point, I think this year, this fight had probably come a year too early for us. We've been together as a unit for sort of 2 years, 2.5 years, which isn't that long in a fighter's lifetime. So, look, like I say, I'm not surprised about it. I can take a lot of positives away from it, that we was competitive, and Jeff definitely knows that he was in a fight. I've just seen him upstairs, and he's very, very relieved. look, he's a good fighter. To answer Grantley's question, Jeff would be competitive, I believe, with any welterweight that he gets in there with. He's not going to get knocked out with a single shot. I don't believe it's going to be accumulation. Crawford is a very good fighter. The unknown in there is Crawford a very good welterweight? That we don't know. Jeff is a very big boy. He's very physically strong. I honestly believe that Gary is amongst the strongest welterweights in the world, as I'm sure he showed it at times in that fight when he physically manhandled Jeff back. Probably seen Jeff on the back foot more in that fight than you have done against anyone. And that's because of the physicality and the strength. So it's going to take a physically strong fighter to be able to do that to Jeff. I'm not sure whether Crawford's the man, but let's have it right. The guy's got sublime skills. He's super skilled. For me, Jeff is going to have to work on his outside game a hell of a lot more in order to get close enough to Crawford to be able to do the good work that he does when he's inside. He mixes up, goes head and body very well, throws with you, but Crawford is a different animal when it comes to skills and mindset. So it's going to be tough for him, but you know what, genuinely, we wish him all the best. We're going to be keeping a close eye on what they do in the future. Not because we're after another fight, but because they've been great to us, they've been nice and friendly and polite. We genuinely wish them all the best.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much.